talking, and I need more of a show right now. It's time that you made your mind up, 'cause lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time, and I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now. You got me on tonight, 'cause loving you is like I'm walking a tightrope so high. I won't be turning around, no, I won't be turning around. It's the right time, I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I will win tonight. I think I'll do it on my way. I'm gonna show you what I'm going through, get you out of your comfort zone, 'cause I need more of the truth right now. It's time that you made your mind up, 'cause lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time, and I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now. You got me on tonight, 'cause loving you is like I'm walking a tightrope so high. I won't be turning around, no, I won't be turning around. It's the right time, I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I will win tonight. Don't forget it, don't forget it, don't forget it. We'll turn this around. Don't forget it, don't forget it, don't forget it. We'll turn this around.
Hey everyone, welcome to Geeksvana Live. Really great to see you all. Thank you for coming in on this cold evening. Although, as you'll be finding out with my co-host Stephen, it's colder for him, but it's still a little bit chilly, isn't it? Even in the studio with the heater on, I'm still getting a little bit, having to warm myself up a little bit. But I really appreciate you all coming in this evening. As you are aware, as you will be aware, this evening we've got Ian. I keep also want to call him Ian from London. I'm going to ask him to change his entire channel, just so I can get it right, because it's Ian in London, which makes much more sense. He's in my ear actually telling me that would be a lie. So yes. So yeah, we have Ian on tonight to talk about the UK drone rules and to have a bit of a chat about that. Also have a chat about his channel, which I'm sure plenty of you already know. I've put a link to it once already in there, but the link will be popped in there a few times during the show. So please do go along. If there is anybody in my audience that hasn't supported Ian yet, why? But also please hop over and do that. We've also got some great viewer videos coming up as well. Which some of them might warm you up a little bit, and there's also one very cold one from my co-host Stephen this evening as well. And as well as we have a special announcement regarding a new regular live stream that we're starting later in the month, which I will play out later on. But with no further ado, when I remember, look at this, I'm actually remembering the audio and everything. I will bring everybody in. Hi guys, how are you?
Evening, Sean. How you doing?
Very good.
Good evening.
Hi, Stephen.
Good evening. What are you complaining about the cold for, Sean? Come on.
You're making me feel cold because you're talking about -20 and things like that in Finland, and
Yeah, and I was outside in it most of the day today.
yes, well, you know, one piece of housekeeping. Now that you're out of your Dubai hotel room, that most of the recent shows have been coming in, you're now back in Finland. Where's the fern tree in the background?
It's
Okay, because
here.
it's something that people have been missing, this fern.
I know. It's here.
And
It's here.
can we confirm that the broken fern has now been rescued?
It's dead. I was informed yesterday it is dead.
Okay, can we have an RIP in the chat, please, for the for the fern that didn't make it? Okay, well, we'll have to have the investigation into exactly what happened to the fern another time, because I'm still not convinced that the stories that we've been the alleged stories we've been listening to.
Well, I have to say, Sean, we're cold at the moment. We're -3 here, and we've had snow all week. Haven't got above freezing all week. So
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we had the thinnest layer of snow, thinnest layer, and it stayed exactly in the garden. It stayed exactly. It hasn't melted. It hasn't gone away.
it's been
It's just,
bonkers. But then I
yeah.
think everybody had dump of snow about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we got nothing. We had rain all day. So yeah, there we are. We're getting
No, it's crazy, isn't it?
I've been out flying a lot this week, and yeah, I can say that whilst the Mavic 2 Pro may not be waterproof, it is snowproof because it's certainly been flown a lot in the snow.
Oh, that's awesome. Because there's that old thing, isn't there, of having the right kind of snow to fly in, which always
dry. You want very cold air, very small dry flakes. They don't stick
exactly.
to the lens. That's the main thing.
Nothing bordering on rain.
-2 in Texas.
Wow,
Texas is always hot. Anyway, there we go.
They actually did have hi Chris, Sunrise Water Media. They actually did have snow there recently. One of Ready Set Drone placed a video up showing that it was actually snowing over there, which is absolutely incredible. So so tonight's subject in general, if I stop wobbling my camera, apologies that I can actually wobble my camera a bit, which I normally can't do, but I've got a new live desk setup which has brought the camera a bit closer to me. So if I lose 1,000 subscribers tonight, I know why. It's because they actually don't want to see me this close up. So I take no offence, people. But the main topic this evening is obviously these new UK drone rules. We obviously very delicately titled them in the description, which is ironic actually, because I'm very pro these new drone rules, and I know that you have a positivity towards them at the very least. So yeah, it's been an interesting start to the year for the UK drone sphere, hasn't it? Really, for the hobby.
It has. I mean, like I was just saying to you before we went on air, it was. I was actually quite positive about the new rules because they do actually offer a lot more opportunity to fly in areas that you previously couldn't. But I think when I was making the video, it was that mention of the beach and the perceived expansion of no-fly areas that seem to grab hold of. And I was genuinely surprised at the level of negativity, if you like, about the rules. I mean, like I said at the beginning, some people win, some people slightly lose, but generally there's a lot of scope to improve the general situation. And as I have tried to convey in the seemingly endless videos I put out since that first one, there's a lot of good stuff that you can actually take advantage of if you know how to exploit those advantages.
Exactly, and that, I think that's really the angle that Geeksvana as a channel has taken as well, from the point of view of saying, you know, these are the things we can and can't do, and this sort of helps you there. I mean, your channel and other channels helped me an awful lot as a hobbyist, because it was I was able to get answers that I couldn't get anywhere else, and you know, I was fortunate to be part of to join very early on in my hobby a BMFA local club, and of course those guys took me under their wings as far as safety and all that sort of things are concerned. But a lot of those guys were heli flyers, so specific drone rules, specific drone regulations they didn't know too much about. So sometimes it's quite difficult to get someone on camera to just say, you know, to almost put their name on the line, as it were, and say, this is what you can do with an A2 COC, this is what you can do with a sub 250 without anything. And so yeah, I mean, which again is why I think overall there's a huge respect for your channel, because you do that. You will take the time to break things apart. You know,
that's basically it, isn't it? You try and stick to the facts. I mean, yeah, what was it? 272 pages.
Yes.
Nightmare.
Yes.
And in fairness, an awful lot of it was not relevant because I was focusing on the open category, not the specific or certifiable category. But yeah, you know, extracting and trying to make logical sense out of all of that. Guys keep flying, drone laws have gone to hell. They haven't. Actually, the drone laws have got a lot better. That's the whole.
Yeah, certainly here in the UK. I mean, it's been very positive, because my channel as a main focus talks a lot about drone news and tech news, and therefore, of course, a lot of reports that we have, especially from in the States, that type of thing, is sometimes negative because of the things that are happening there to individual flyers, and as a perceived regulation worldwide. One of the things I don't think necessarily helped, which obviously no one could help, was the fact that it was drawn out a little bit. I think so. We were going to stay part of EASA, and then of course Brexit, and even with Brexit we were going to stay part of EASA, and then because of COVID and everything, it was bounced down the line. So, but in actual fact, I think those delays might have helped us a little bit in the end, because I think there's a few things that got sort of rounded, like the sub 250 gram allowance, which I have to say, whenever I'm on one of the US drone channels, they're kind of blown away when I say to them, actually they've now taken this sub 250 gram drone and we can now fly it in so many more places, with no separation, but of course ensuring that you're flying safely. Of course, the safety thing has to be the key thing there. So yeah, I mean it's for me it's absolutely incredible.
Now it's past. We can. What was your take on New Year's Eve? Was it 31st? Right from the beginning, or 11 p.m.?
This is an interesting one, because I was around that time. I had a little bit of interest in my channel from a few people who had inside knowledge and who had contacts and that type of thing. And I was quizzing them all, including serving police officers and that type of thing. I was sort of okay, what's happening? Drone unit officers and that so people that should know these things. And it was put to me that originally I think it was supposed to be 11 p.m. on the 31st was the perception, but then actually they were saying, because we are taking over our own rules, we're issuing our own rules, it can be from midnight on the 30th technically. But I don't think it really worked that way, because of course we had to be out of the EU for these things, for this to have worked anyway, really. So I took it as 11 p.m. I was actually tempted to do a night flight video and do almost like a live stream going across.
Nowhere in the 272 could I see a time reference.
Yeah,
everything was just simply saying 31st of December. So that's what I took it. The reason I asked this actually is because on New Year's Eve during the afternoon, I went for a little drive, and I think I was in Finchingfield, and I just said, sod it, why not?
I'm going to fly.
I'll throw the minis up. And I felt like a pathetic, naughty schoolboy. That I was on the main village green of Finchingfield, and I was just like unfolding it, and then up it goes. Pictures, and landed again, and unbelievably, really surprisingly, no one cared. There was a few people walking around.
Yeah.
They didn't even bother coming up to me. And I think that's actually one of the, one of the things I think now that's going to make the Mini 2 so popular this year is twofold. One, legally, you can fly it in almost all situations unless there's restricted airspace. But two, it just looks like a toy, and these irate little busybodies just don't even care. I can remember in the summertime, I was camping down in Exmoor, and we went to Tintagel Castle, where the English Heritage got that lovely new suspension bridge. And right in front of the English Heritage staff, there was some guy just flying his little Mavic Mini up and down. And I just thought, we're in English Heritage land here. You're right in front of the staff, and they're not batting an eyelid because it just looks like a little toy.
Yeah, which is I mean, the Mini 2 is a superb little drone, because even over the first Mini, it is quieter. So once you're even a few feet in the air, unless someone saw you take off, they have no idea it's there, frankly.
No.
Just very quickly, David B, thank you very much for the super chat. Would appreciate that. Ian from London, are you sure you weren't a squaddy?
I am sure, yeah.
Do you know they're casting aspersions on my esteemed guest here? Not that that's an aspersion, of course.
It's not an aspersion. I take it as a compliment. It's my fantastic DIY haircut.
Yeah, indeed. Mine's a little bit longer today, actually. But
what's the bloke? There's a game. I keep getting
GTA 5.
No. It's he's a bit of a soldier boy.
Oh yeah, Call of Duty.
Oh yes,
Call of Duty. Yes, you
I
do.
can never unsee that now.
And I'm what's his chops.
I can never unsee that now. I'm afraid that's
Yes.
it. Whenever I watch one of your videos, that's who I'm going to be thinking of.
That's but that's probably what he means actually when he sees that. You think you're a squad. You think you're probably an extra from Call of Duty.
That's it, exactly. we actually also had in the pre-show chat, we had a few people asking if you were the third Mitchell brother.
26.
Soap. Soap. His name was
Soap. That's it.
Soap
is the character. Yes. That's brilliant.
Where were we? We were talking about, look, we're trying to throw a positive spin on these rules because thanks to my first video on New Year's Eve, half the country kind of just threw their hands up in despair and said it's all a load of crap. Like I said, let's try and be positive. There is a lot of new places we can fly to. And initially I was pretty unhappy about the idea of this expansion of the congested area into beaches. But as you saw from one of the video last week, I emailed the CAA. They were good to come back. They are good. You know, you email them with an intelligent question and they will come back after a week or two.
Yes.
And, he made it pretty clear to me, if you can fly on beaches, you just can't fly on crowded beaches. And
exactly, which is why I think the 722 is important, and its associated documents, because of course that is the policy, which people have to remember as well. I've had a few people sort of fire back, but the air navigation order says this and this says that, etc. And I said, but you also have to look at what the policy of the CAA is in terms of enforcement and in terms of how they're interpreting it, as far as what you can and can't do, which is very, very important.
Just ask one question regarding the new rules with the A2. So you can take the online, and then there's also a classroom. Is that right?
The classroom is currently online. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you have a classroom online because we can't have that here. So we actually have got a waiver for the A2 until the end of April. So we can actually do the A2 online, but we don't have the ability to do the actually there's nowhere available to do the classroom.
It's one of the interesting sides of it for me, actually, because I think we are missing that. I'm looking forward to the classroom bit coming back, because having done the A2 CFC, I've as a hobbyist, I feel like I'm missing that little bit of classroom interactivity. The final exam is obviously with a live person and that type of thing, which is excellent, so they can see the whites of your eyes. But the only other thing with the A2 CFC that not bugs me, but that concerns me is that there is no flight test or flight assessment. It is, for a lot of people, for a lot of the training companies, it is a self-assessment that you sign to say, yes, I can fly a drone, thank you. And I would personally like to see some kind of flight assessment, but perhaps the A2 isn't a serious enough qualification. I'm not sure, but you are flying in congested areas with relatively heavier equipment. What's your view, Ian?
Sorry, I was distracted by being called somebody from the Village People.
Oh my lord! We've opened a can of worms here.
Yeah, but Tasha's video.
I will have the audience know.
It's like, okay, I'm trying to work out which one from the Village People I'm supposed to look like.
Yeah, that's a strange one. That's a stretch, frankly. And there's you taking it seriously and not coming on with a cat filter this evening. I think you might have been better with the cat filter.
Don't start, really. No, I've got a little Ted asleep here on the sofa next to me.
Bless.
Right, sorry, focus.
No, that's okay.
What did you ask?
I'll ask it again in 1 second. Just very quickly say thank you to El Smeghead for the £10 super chat. Really appreciate it. And he has said, Sean, Ian in London, and Stephen, you're all legends of the drone community in the UK. Bless you all. Well, there's certainly a legend over here for sure. So, who is the legend that taught me all about flying at National Trust sites? Actually, frankly. So
wait until closing time and just.
Yep. Have at it. So yes,
we're dancing around all over the place here, but Grimes Graves. So Grimes Graves is I don't know if it's one of my openings. You've seen the dimpled.
Yes, absolutely.
Over in Thetford Forest, and it's English heritage. And I actually spoke to the guys there, and I just said, look, you're only going to see this from a drone. I know you don't permit it, but what time do you close? And he was great. He goes, we close at 5 o'clock. He goes, you can park up the road.
Yep.
Walk down. He goes, you're not supposed to fly off the land, but the other side of the gate, that's not our land. So off you go. And then when I actually posted the video, I had one of the guys who worked using saying how fantastic the video was and how
that's amazing. That's so good.
If you treat it right, and I did that flight over Stonehenge a couple of years ago, and that raised a few eyebrows. But again, I was just a bit smart about it. They've actually closed off. So the main road that goes past Stonehenge. Well, there's this side lane that is literally only got about 20 meters of tarmac, and then it just goes to mud.
Yes, right.
And I can remember just seeing that as we were driving, and I was like, I'm going to go up there. And I was up there. Literally went up 50 meters, and I just said, right, I'm taking off from here. And my mates were like, are you sure? And I said, yeah, this is a lane. It's not going to be National Trust, public right of way.
Absolutely.
I just quickly took off, and I did wait until gone 5 o'clock, so it was closed. Don't piss off anybody. And there we are. So I think it's all about a bit of common sense, isn't it? Really. And, it is. And the thing the word I always use is permission, from the point of view that if you can get it, then actually, if you do knock on some doors, and if you do speak to people on the ground, you will actually find that they won't be aggressive at all, as you're saying. And the advantage there is because you're talking to them first, when they hear, if they even hear or see the drone, but if they do, they're not then concerned about it. Or if someone else mentions it to them, they're like, oh yeah, no, that's just a guy flying a drone, but he's not on our land, etc., and that type of thing. And you would be surprised actually how many of the people on the sites know the rules properly, as opposed to necessarily the press officers and those are the people that run the websites and that type of thing. That's frustrating when you have the National Trust website and it's spouting absolute bollocks basically. And you just think you're giving us rubbish here. You're not, if you actually said something along like, what's the spit of land up on the east coast in Suffolk? There's a castle, Orford Ness, Castle. Okay, nice. And Orford Ness is all National Trust, and it is absolutely all about birds and nesting birds. And all they actually need, they have got the poster, and on the poster half of it is all dedicated to the birds and how they're very easily disturbed, and that's why they don't want drones. And you just think, perfect, that's all you need. A good, meaningful reason to fly. Even though technically I could have flown off the beach, but you choose not to because they've explained things in a nice way and they make you realise this is why we don't want to. But on the main central website of the National Trust, where they just go on about, privacy and all of that nonsense, and you just think...
it's the misunderstanding. It's just a negativity because there is so much negativity without understanding.
Yeah, indeed. I do actually think as well they could potentially. I know they've got some very nice old buildings to look after, but I think handled in the right way, they could even end up with an awful lot more visitors if they opened it, let's say, from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. for drone flyers and only allowed 15 in a day and that type of thing. They could actually make a decent amount of money from it. I know there's a risk.
It's like Matey Boy at the Harry Potter Viaduct in Scotland, where he's got those little signs, and I actually went with the intention of paying me £5. I thought, why not? But then when I actually read about it, all he does is basically talk to you, and there were so many people flying drones there anyway. I just thought, you know what? But you're right. If they actually did embrace things a little bit more and actually just say, we're going to have English Heritage, they have members only days and hours when they restrict access to certain members only, full members. And they could do the same with drones, but for the time being, they're not. I saw somebody just put a comment that English National Trust Scotland have a bit more of a more sensible policy. You can email them in advance, and I wouldn't even mind paying £5 or £10 for somebody just to process my application. But it's
completely agree.
National Trust saying a grand, and then somebody emailed me the other day about Dartmoor. And Dartmoor go even stronger. They just say we will not entertain applications for hobbyist flight, for recreational flying. No, exactly. And it is a little bit of a cue to people that are going there, because especially somewhere like Dartmoor, really, how much land is there? You could be flying and you wouldn't see another single person there.
That's it. That's exactly it.
But we had this conversation a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, I think, we were talking about this and how much that some of these organisations would actually benefit from people flying and taking pictures and stuff.
Hugely.
In terms of PR.
Yeah.
So it's really, really good
Publicising
PR.
these places as a nice place to visit. So
Yeah, of
no,
course.
I completely agree with that. Okay, we're going to take a very quick 2-minute break and play out a video actually from this man up here. Who is celebrating or commiserating the fact that he's back from hot Dubai to cold Finland with an absolutely fantastic video. So fantastic that I had to play it out, in fact. Previously on the Flyby Guys.
Hi everyone, Stephen from the Flyby Guys. How are you all doing? It's cold. I'm back in reality, and there's one photo or one bit of footage that I've been wanting to capture, and that's an old photo that I took about 2 or 3 years ago. There's a pond just over there, and it's the shape of a heart. It's not a lake because it's not big enough to be a lake, but it's not a small pond. It's just big enough where I can just get the angle right so I can capture it with the drone. In summertime it looks like this, which is absolutely beautiful. It's a fantastic little area and it's so desolate, no one really knows that this place exists, so I'm quite fortunate. How I found it is I spent 2 days looking in Google Maps and I managed to find this actual place, which of course was absolutely fantastic. Now I'm back in Finland. It's super cold, and I thought it would be nice to capture the same photo, the same image, but on a different time of year. Let's have a look.
Absolutely fantastic, and thanks for letting us share that, Stephen.
Thank you.
Welcome back to reality with a bang. I think is probably the main comment on that one, isn't it?
Waiting to freezing in 2 videos. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. No, absolutely superb. And again, I put the link again in there for Stephen's channel. Hop along and grab that, because you're gonna start seeing some very unique stuff coming from Stephen's channel in the next couple of months, to put it mildly. So yes, he is off traveling the world. Bless him.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Very, very envious, but there we go.
I'm actually going to try to get my drone. I'm heading to Bangladesh soon, so I'm going to try to sneak my drone into the suitcase there.
Okay, if any of the security services are watching, we are not anything to do with this man above us, and sneaking anything into any country is generally not a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's my cards marked now.
Yeah. So Stephen will not be going to Bangladesh. He will be staying here with us.
I've got my visa.
I remember actually doing a video. I did one video on taking drones on planes, because I was forgetting forever. And I actually, just for a joke or whatever, because I knew it would be a nice little, I was going to say sound bite, video bite, whatever.
Yes.
As I was getting the carry on through the X-ray machine, I just put the GoPro on, and it went underneath through the thing. Halfway through the darkness, there's all this crackling on the screen, and that's obviously the little X-rays. Yeah. I think there's a couple of countries that don't like drones at all. Like, they'll take them away from you when you arrive.
Yes.
But the majority don't seem to care. And certainly the airlines these days seem very laid back about things.
Yeah, indeed.
I don't even unpacking it from the case now. I've had the 2 Pro and the Air 2 in the same carry-on case, not unpacked, and just goes through X-ray.
Again, I think the small DJIs have helped us there, haven't they? Because customs are used to seeing them now. Basically, it's just another one of those toy drones. You know, we've seen that before and move on. So again, not seeing it as a threat.
Well, what I done was I actually bought a Mini 2 when I was in Dubai, because I couldn't take one into the country because the stuff I was using, whatever. So I actually, on the way back, I put the batteries and the remote into my hand luggage, and I put the Mini 2 in the case, and I put it in my suitcase, and I really kind of wrapped it up. So there was no way that it was going to get, let's say, taken off me on the way back. So it was quite safe. So I think that's the key.
Yeah.
So I'm just laughing at El Smeghead. Emirates are twats for confiscating drones.
I haven't seen it action there.
Yeah. Way to go, Andy. Just fly that British flag for us overseas.
I was going to say, do you want to steer things back to these fabulous drone rules?
Indeed.
And
which Andy kind of did.
What positives can we talk about? Well, I did the A2 CFC. Okay, actually, you two guys can answer the meteorological question I got wrong, which is bonkers. When I've got a degree in physics and I love meteorology, so I was so pissed off I got this question wrong. But it was as air warms up, what happens to the drone? And it's because of the multiple choice questions. I think one was warm air is thinner, so the drone will become unstable. Warm air is more stable, so the drone will fly more stable, or something like that. And anyway, I could not work out which was so as the temperature warms up, what would you expect? Fly better? Fly poorer?
The air would become a bit more unstable.
Well, I'm not talking, cumulonimbus and,
Just warming up. Do you know, I actually did the same. I did the UAV hub A2 CFC myself, and I don't actually remember that.
No, it didn't come up on any of the bloody mocks. I did 5 mocks. Did I see that question? Did I buggery bollocks?
But that was the only bit of feedback I did give Matt from an excellent course, is that some of the questions were a little bit multiple choicey.
Yeah.
Like as in you kind of felt like a couple of them could technically be right when you were answering, which was I suppose one of the things they're doing. But okay, so warm air, I suppose any kind of change in air would be an issue.
Anyway, to me, gas expands, therefore it becomes thinner. So maybe that was where they were heading. Drones fly better in cold air. So the idea there would be cold air. Don't confuse cold air with high altitude. Yes, it's 2 very different things. To me, that does make sense because cold air is going to be more dense, and if the air is more dense, then the rotors are going to have more to push against, and therefore it's going to fly better. So
Oh, that makes sense.
That's the little physics geek in me.
Well, we appreciate it. So
More
I
rumbles
was.
to take off. Bill, we're talking about drones, but maybe I guess you are. So yeah,
Indeed,
that
I was.
makes sense.
I was murdering your channel name earlier, which actually brings me on to a question of why Ian in London, why not sort of Ian's Drones or Drones for You, etc.
That's all Ian in Essex. Well, I work in London, and up until March last year, I was working in London every day. And initially, years ago, before I got heavily into drones, I set up the channel because I was just going to do blogs and vlogs of me around London. And as I was in London, there we are. And then when I started doing that, it all started one sad afternoon down over the White Cliffs of Dover. I think most of you will know what that means to me. Stephen, you may not. I lost my 2-week-old Mavic Pro and made a video to help the DJI forum people that I chatted to, not make the same mistake.
I remember that video actually.
First proper little video I put up on YouTube that wasn't just me flying around to music. And that was the one that just like, I thought it was just going to get a few views with some of the people on the forum, and it just went, and I was getting comments from Russia and the Far East and God knows what. But most people have heard of London. Sadly, most people have heard of Essex, but for all the wrong reasons. But I'm happy with being in London.
It's unique as well, isn't it? It's the same as Geeksvana. It's a name you haven't heard anywhere else. So once you know it, type thing. So,
but I always seen you as the guy who flies out his back garden.
I am though. I'm dead lucky,
with the cute dog as well. With the cute dog,
doesn't look like a typical London back garden. Well, no,
it doesn't.
I live out in North Essex. As I said, until last March, I commuted in every day, and I'm dead lucky to have a load of farmers' fields out the back. And I'm near a village. Everybody knows me in the village, and I've said, if you see the drone buzzing around, actually, when we do obviously we have village life, we have open gardens sometimes, and we do the stalls or the village fete and the like, and I do aerial photos of the church and stuff like that, and everyone's like, oh, that's lovely, that looks really good, I can see my house. And suddenly the threat of drones evaporates, because it's like, actually my house is a dot, and the back garden is even more of a dot.
That's the thing. You can't see in the windows. You cannot see in the windows.
The privacy threat does start to disappear, which is excellent. So.
Thank you, David B. Yes, village people have already been mentioned. But that is.
Where has that come from? That's just bizarre. I mean, the soap thing I also get because of your voice as well a little bit, and 100%.
It's all about Tash, so maybe the light is making it a bit here.
Maybe, but they've seen you before, surely.
Distract me. I've lost where we were now. Doesn't matter. Anyway,
Indeed. The next thing I was going to talk about before I played out another viewer video was actually the Article 16 authorization. Which again is something which I think we have to be very grateful for, from the point of view that, in my opinion, it shows that there are people at things like the BMFA and FPV UK that really are genuinely trying to improve our hobby and keep our hobby going, despite the future of regulation and where it's potentially going. But also B, that the fact that CAA are willing to sit down and have those conversations and set those authorizations up, because I don't think a lot of people saw that one coming, frankly. And I think it's positive.
Article 16 has been. When did that come into play? Has that not been around?
1st of January.
Oh, really? As well?
Yeah.
I didn't realise that.
It was being worked on in the background for a long time, and in fact, I have a video on Article 16 coming out tomorrow, and one of the points I make on it is it doesn't necessarily sort of dovetail completely in with the current regs. Only, and it feels a bit awkward for a couple of reasons. But one of those is because it's actually been worked on for probably longer than the new regs have been coming in. Frankly,
it is good to a certain. And one thing I did in my little, it's not a competition. And that's the thing to actually be clear about. Article 16 is.
That's right.
They are literally different sets of rules for different experiences. I do find it staggering. You can have a 25 kilogram drone flying in a park
Yeah.
because you're a member of a flying club and you've ticked the box that you've read the the Article 16 thingies and the like.
Guidelines, yeah.
But it is useful, and hopefully it will help. It's also time limited, isn't it? It's only 2 years. And then
Well, in actual fact, it's 1 year. It runs out on the 31st December 2021. So it is actually only for 12 months. Again, that's one of the things I've focused on the video, that we need to look after it so that actually when it comes to being renewed, that it isn't an issue. So that and that people try and stick to the rules within it, because it is a way that a hobbyist, without worrying about any of the A2 stuff, worrying about any of the GVCs and everything else like that, they can still fly their drone in built-up parks. But the difference is now they're doing it legally, which is wonderful.
The fact that almost every park has had some little pencil dick at the council saying, no, we can't have any drones. So
yes.
Do a little bylaw to
that was one of the only things about the Article 16. I always research my flights well, but sometimes with takeoffs I don't go digging too far, if that makes sense, as far as who owns what land and that type of thing.
I am very much, and I don't know, I should admit it or not, I'm very much a fly first and land politely and quickly if asked to. Not that I've never been asked to land.
Exactly, because that is normally the response that you're going to get. Is you're going to get a park ranger or someone of that type is going to come up and say, would you mind, sorry, you can't do that here. Oh, I'm terribly sorry, I'm off. But actually with the Article 16 authorization, it does state that you should look into that. So, which is, again, who's going to enforce that particular part of it? But it's excellent. When it first came out, I actually misread it, that I thought it would only allow things like FPV quads and things. So, because when it's talking about the stabilization modes, I perceived that as actually a DJI drone is fully stabilized the whole time. So I didn't see how that could necessarily work within it. But of course, it is only the orbits and that type of thing, and the autonomous
modes.
Exactly. Which is again, it's good.
I think we've established as well that return to home, especially an automated, accidental return to home, that doesn't count, and you're still good on that.
Exactly. Which has been good to see, actually, that when I emailed the BMFA about that particular point myself, one of the things they stressed, which is in the video tomorrow, that they absolutely stressed that if you are in any kind of, if any automated system helps you get out of trouble, use it. And that there is not going to be an issue, frankly, because if you press follow me and it stops you crashing into a building, then great. If it gets you out of that emergency situation that you're in particular. So
I'm just going to pick up. Simon has put in a little Article 16 is the best, better than the A2 CFC. As we just said, Simon, I genuinely don't believe one is better than the other. It depends.
I agree. Yes.
On where you're trying to fly and what you're trying to fly.
Yes.
I can tell you that if you're flying a Mini 2, which is still one of the most capable models out there, then you'd be a donkey to be flying under Article 16, because you don't need the A2 CFC. The standard IATA rules give you so much freedom. So
absolutely.
But likewise, if you are flying a 5 kilogram monster, then of course Article 16 is better.
Yes.
And for those of us in the middle, flying the mid-sized drones, then again, it just depends on where you're flying. Generally at the moment though, Article 16 30-meter bubble is going to be better than a 50-meter horizontal distance. But,
yes, because the bubble thing is a really big benefit of that as well, that I see, because and there are times where I'm going to fly, even as an A2 CFC holder, I'm going to fly under Article 16 because I can bubble it, so especially with the heavier drones. So
Johnny, don't be hiding in bushes. The police will come and arrest you for
do not be hiding in the bushes.
That's right.
There's actually a very good video on my channel from about a month ago, which is picking some traction up, which is actually in America, and it's a drone flyer hiding in the bushes and then complaining that the police are confronting him, and he hid in the bushes to film a Black Lives Matter protest to see how the police were handling it, and then had a problem that 4 police officers walked up to him wanting to know what he was doing flying a drone from the bushes. It's like, to me, that actually that's perfectly reasonable. It's a perfectly reasonable inquiry to make. But there we go. That's just how some people are, unfortunately. But no, I do agree. The Article 16 authorization is absolutely perfect for the right people, and especially I think for the people that I think were being not picked on, but we're losing the most. So the RC flying community.
Unfairly.
I think those people, it helps.
That's what I said in last week's video. Ultimately, you have these people. That's right. They've been flying for years with no driver, and suddenly these new draconian rules come in because powers that be are convinced all these little guys are going to go down to Curry's, buy a DJI and
Yes.
mess everything up. So I get why it was done.
Exactly.
I think it's good.
Okay.
I do still have a real issue with the general issue of people thinking that all drones are bad, and we just don't seem to have that many genuine incidents. And when you compare with other stuff in the world,
Yes.
and
Yes.
other bad stuff that happens.
Yes. Absolutely.
Where is the bad stuff with drones?
Yeah,
really,
but this is just down to society. It's down to the press. It's down to the negativity which has been put out to the public, and the public will lap up. They will believe anything. So it's there is. I mean, it's like
Which is why everyone should subscribe to Ian in London, because then you get the facts, frankly. But thank you, Johnny Mac 26 for the £5 super chat. I really do appreciate
Brian,
that.
just to answer your question. Sorry, yeah.
No,
I was
please.
just going to say, Brian, yes, if you've got Article 60 and an A2 CFC up your belt, yes, you can. You literally choose which rule you want to fly under when you take off. You can't apparently change rules mid-flight.
Yes.
But yeah, so I mean, if you're flying in a recreational area, you have to have done your little risk assessment beforehand. But yeah, ultimately, you can choose whichever set of rules are going to apply best for you.
Exactly. No, it's fantastic. Okay, well, I'm just going to play out another a viewer video, and straight after that, there's going to be a special announcement on the channel, actually. So we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Enjoy, guys.
Oh, here you are, face to face in this trashy bar. Another glass and I am going places. Makes me laugh about the irony of everything. I like the way you're thinking. I don't really care about the music on the dance floor. I don't really mind all the smoke is in the bathroom. I don't care at all, baby. You got my attention. So you were saying, oh no, I don't see the logic of things. It's quite a lonely world that we're living in. Oh baby, you are something special, I'm sure. Everything makes total sense when you're next to me. Where you wanna go? I am all about adventure times. Another drink and I'll go anywhere. The way you smile, like a flash in the universe. You are illuminating. I don't really care about the people in the bar line. I don't really mind all the woo girls doing stage dives. I don't care at all, baby. You got my attention. So you were saying, I don't see the logic of things. It's quite a lonely world that we're living in. Oh baby, you are something special, I'm sure. Everything makes total sense when you're next to me.
Hi there everyone, my name is Emily and I'm really excited because I'm going to be the new presenter on Geeksvana, and I am really looking forward to meeting everyone, meeting the whole community and all the viewers in a brand new live stream show. So Geeksvana are launching a new monthly live show which is going to focus on bringing you all the latest innovations in the world of commercial and enterprise level drones, from the latest DJI, Sony enterprise models to beyond visual line of sight drones that are being used to support the UK NHS. We'll also be looking at the exciting future of UAS. We'll be interviewing some of the leading figures in the industry and taking a much deeper dive into some of the drone industry business success stories with some very, very special guests. So come and join me and Sean for the first show on Thursday, February the 25th at 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And I look forward to meeting you all. Now, just a reminder that next week, that's the 18th of February, Sean and Stephen will be joined live by Dr. Pascal Lee, co-founder of the Mars Institute, director of the NASA Houghton Mars Project, and senior planetary scientist with SETI. Pascal will be looking forward to the landing of Perseverance on Mars, carrying with it for the first time a drone, the Mars helicopter. Ingenuity, Sean and Stephen will be live from 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. So why not come and join them? And I look forward to seeing you all on Thursday, the 25th of February.
Okay, so as Emily was mentioning there, which obviously she's introduced herself, I hope everybody's going to join us on the 25th for Emily's first show, which will be the commercial drone show. But as Emily mentioned, next week we have Drones on Mars. So on Thursday the 18th, we're going to be live streaming the landing of the Perseverance rover onto Mars. And then Dr. Pascal Lee of the Mars Institute and the NASA Houghton Mars Project will be joining us live to have a chat about the drone that has landed on, by then hopefully will have landed on Mars, and talking about its first mission and that type of thing. So that's going to be very exciting. So back to our main show. And we have another famous person from Ian's channel, or individual.
We do. We have one of the stars. So here is. He's finally woken up. He's said, "I'm sleeping on the sofa." So, but yeah, he's just bonkers. He's actually a good reminder of what you do actually have to. You know, I see occasionally these clips of dogs attacking drones, and you just think those props, the eyes. Yes. So yeah, that's why I've done a few on how to hand catch. And some people, you know, they go, "Oh, you shouldn't be hand catching, you'll chop your fingers off," and it's like, no, I haven't. It's dead easy, and it's a lot safer if you've got a crazy dog that always wants to dive bomb.
Absolutely.
I saw a fantastic clip the other day, rambling.
No,
German Shepherd dog, and a little there was a little micro drone right in front of this German Shepherd's, and he literally just went and just clumped, and he just smashed the little drone to pieces.
Oh, that's superb! That's superb. Yeah. I know that Nurk FPV, who's obviously one of the DRL racers, he's actually done a couple of videos with a cine lifter as well, where because he practices his DRL drones around his house, and his dogs go crazy for them because again they want to catch them and eat these things that are flying around. And he's got some great footage on his Instagram of the dog literally about 3 centimeters from the camera, you know, trying to get it as it's flying, and he's done some great slow-mo of that. So no, it's good fun, frankly. But no, I think the dogs, I want to say plural, it is dogs in your videos, isn't it? There's more than one.
Yeah, we got. I mean, cool. There's one video. The trouble is, you don't know what they're doing behind you when you're.
No, I know. I love this.
And there is one video, and well, basically one comment said it all. I tuned in to find out about Mavic Air 2 or whatever, and I got dog porn. Fantastic.
Yes.
So yeah, they're not. I mean, they're all muted and spayed, but there's a little bit of road. They like playing. And it was a full-on three-way groupie going.
It was awesome, wasn't it? It was just so beautiful.
Dear. But anyway, yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Dogs,
indeed.
dogs are cool.
Simon, thank you very much for your £10 super chat. I really do appreciate it. He says, Ian, I have an A2 CFC to fly my Mavic Air 2, but Article 16 is much better for non-commercial work. Don't you agree? Again, I think that's horses for courses almost, isn't it?
It's horses for courses, Simon, to be honest. The chances are, and you've got it right, obviously Article 16 is non-commercial only. So if you're flying non-commercially, then yeah, ultimately, Air 2, mid-sized drone, you've got that 30-meter bubble where you can fly over people as opposed to 50-meter horizontal distance. But if you have got the A2 CFC, you can fly in other congested areas, whereas the Article 16 only allows you to fly in the recreational area. So, you know, old docks or a park. Park's a bit of a funny thing because that's a recreational inside a residential.
It is, isn't it?
So
Yes, yeah. No,
that. But,
indeed.
Ultimately,
because they do talk about the volume as well, which is one thing to bear in mind with parks that are within built-up areas. Yes, it allows you to fly within that park, but they also ask you to create a volume that you're going to fly within, and of course that would keep you within. Technically, you could argue would keep you within that park, but yeah. So that
again, with the Article 16, you can fly up to the edge of other congested areas as opposed to the 150-meter distance that you've got under A2.
Which is again, which is great for especially for FPV flies and that type of thing. Who, of course, have a spotter with them. It is absolutely superb. But I think as well, where Simon, one thing to add on to that actually is where I think the A2 CFC will come into its own is when we have the UK CA, CE marked, whatever you want to call them, drones, because then we're going to be able to get within 5 meters. With the 1-to-1 rule, and then actually, I think once those drones are out, all of these regs we've got will settle even more because you'll have your Mavic Air 2 C rated, which will be able to get within 5 meters of people, which is absolutely fantastic. On that,
don't you find that the 1-to-1 rule? So for those people who aren't really too sure of that, the 1-to-1 rule is basically it's the ratio of horizontal distance versus vertical height. So, as Sean just said there, when the numeric classifications start being issued on the new drone models that will be sold at some point in the future, if they've got this special low speed mode, then as Sean said, you'll be able to go up to 5 meters from people. But what I find a real paradox is that you can only fly up to 5 meters from somebody if you are 5 meters above them.
Yes.
If you're 20 or 30 meters above them, which surely would be much safer, the 1-to-1 rule states that you've actually got to be 30 meters away from them as well, horizontal. That's an element that doesn't quite make sense to me. So it's almost encouraging you to go down and buzz somebody in the face.
Yes, exactly. And if they're now concerned about privacy, which of course they are, and you know, but privacy is something which is mentioned much more in the 722 and in the general policy documents of the CAA than ever before. Yeah, I mean, surely, as you're saying, it would be better to have that drone at 30 meters and then up to 5 meters of someone. So yeah, I mean, I completely agree that I can see some sense to it, but not much, frankly. But yes, but
another point though is that obviously the A2 CFC lasts for 5 years, and when these new numerically classified drones start coming out, you are going to have a huge benefit from having the A2 under your belt. And that was one of the reasons why, you know, I kind of did it just for fun.
Yes.
Because I didn't need to, because I still had my PIFCO until I think it expires in June. But obviously A2 CFC is the talk du jour, so to speak. And I thought, well, I'm not going to start recommending it unless I know what's actually involved.
Yeah.
So
makes perfect sense, and it was a great video. I mean, I think UAV Hub and Ian in London was a good mix actually, because it was you know, it did work.
Sorry, that's the 10 o'clock cuckoo.
Superb.
And there you go.
Yeah, people who are being rushed out of Zoom meetings with you during the week are now getting PTSD from hearing the cuckoo. They're jumping up saying, right, it's time to go.
My cuckoo clock is well known throughout the still. So, so I mean, I would actually definitely do the A2 CFC. I mean, I can't believe anybody would actually fail it, to be honest. There were so many questions that were, if you get them wrong, you shouldn't be flying. You're a dick.
Yes,
or a dog.
yes, yes.
You know, they're so basic. But at the same time, what is telling is that you can't just, I've been flying for years, I'll just take the exam. There's stuff that you just wouldn't know unless you've done
Absolutely.
coursework. Generally good. You know, I did a video on doing the PIFCO, and anyone that's seen that video knows that I was really unimpressed with the PIFCO. You know, that was more akin to a bloody glider pilot. And it is nice that I think the A2 has been very much tailored to slightly over the top, probably a little bit more than you need, but you know, it's all good knowledge that actually makes you think about how you're going to fly and what could go wrong.
Exactly.
The risk assessment bit could be a little bit, you know, I mean, again, how can I say, if you've been flying a lot and you know what could go wrong, then you've kind of already done a mental risk assessment in your head. It's a bit like every time you drive a car.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I can't remember if I left the clip in the video. I've certainly filmed it. You're driving a car and you've got kids at the side of the road playing football. You instinctively think, shit, are they going to kick that ball out into the road? And is a kid going to run out? And you kind of know that before you even if it doesn't happen, but you're mentally prepared for it.
Yeah,
and that is what I think the A2 does. It mentally prepares you for a variety of different things that could go wrong. And that's why I think it's a really, really useful thing to actually to undertake. And I do really recommend people do it, because
indeed,
you know,
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And actually, in fact, I agree with you from the other side of the spectrum of where I'm coming from as a pure hobbyist. So it was the first formal training regarding drones that I'd ever undertaken, and it was excellent because there were things that I genuinely did not know about, and that now I know them. I think everyone should know it. In my A2 CFC video, I did say actually I kind of think this should be the basic almost. That some of that could be condensed more into it, but of course they've now expanded the Demares questions, which is excellent.
Instead of 20. So.
And they do recommend that people refresh, don't they, as well, which is one of the things the CAA have said publicly.
Unless you're flying a Mini 2, and then all they care about is getting that £9,
the £9, and being able to trace you if you do.
Do your buggery bollocks? You know, that, again, you just couldn't make it up. But
I actually got that wrong in my first live stream about that, because I found it so strange that you don't need a flyer ID to fly the minis, that I was just blown away by it. Frankly, it's incredible.
I mean, one of the things I try and do in all of my videos is to make sure I'm not talking out my backside. Is I always try and have a screen grab of where I got this information from, and with the Mini 2, I just thought, well, that's just nonsense, isn't it? But there we go.
It's incredible. Indeed. I mean, talking about sub 250 gram drones, I know a lot of people were very concerned that, you know, with the freedom that we're going to start seeing, you know, Mini 2s crashing into Safeways. As a bit of an old throwback name there, Safeways, you know, hitting people's windshields, etc. I know we've been in and out of lockdown an awful lot, and especially since the beginning of January as well. But it doesn't seem to be coming to pass yet. We don't seem to be getting too many stories.
You know, tiny little toy hits something. It's not exactly news, is it? Really?
No, exactly. I mean, I wouldn't recommend anybody does this, but you can actually put your finger into a Mini 2 prop, and it isn't going to do you, you know, world-ending damage, frankly. So, you know, but again, I'm not recommending that. I'm not recommending that. Yeah, no, indeed.
I know the Mavic Pro props, they hurt you through jeans.
Yeah, the Mavic and Phantoms, yeah.
And it hit my leg, and I was like, okay, that hurt. But
I felt that.
Yeah, there we are. Now, I do think, seriously, with the, you know, I made the point repeatedly, this whole idea of being able to take off in the back garden, you're just going to piss off your neighbours if they think you're spying on them. And that's why, you know, you really have to just get into your head that vertical takeoff, get up high, and then
And that's actually why I made that specific video, because people were emailing me and commenting, "Oh, I'm flying from my garden." I thought, okay, we need to have a serious chat about this and just say, tell your neighbours if you can. Not everybody gets on with their neighbours or wants to talk to their neighbours, but tell them if you can. And as you correctly commented on the video yourself, get up and get out, basically. So because again, with the Mini 2, once you're up 20 meters, they can't hear you.
No.
They can't hear your Mini 2 scream in space.
I put the 2 Pro up in the snow a couple of days ago, and I was like, Jesus Christ, it's a loud bloody drone, because I haven't flown it for a good
yes.
month, and I've been messing around with the Mini 2 and the Air 2, and I was like, okay, yeah. So this is why I do think this is the year for the Mini 2. Regulation-wise, you can fly in way more places.
Yes.
And when you do fly in congested areas, no one cares because it just looks like this little toy. It doesn't make much noise. Everything about it is just.
It's sensible, isn't it? It is a bit of sensible regulation, and I'm wholeheartedly happy it's here. Frankly, excellent.
David Hayworth. No, you haven't missed anything at all. We've only been chatting for an hour and 7 minutes.
David, where have you been? Where have you been, sir? David actually had a very bizarre issue where he's a regular viewer. Good to see you, David. And his comments were disappearing, and he couldn't work out why. We managed to get that sorted, because he actually messaged me and said, "Have I been banned? Have I been banned from the channel?" But yeah, no, he wasn't. There are a few that have been, but he certainly wasn't. So, PD Tech, good to see you as well. I did question Sean at the time. You did, yes, exactly, that you only need an operator ID and no need to take Damaras, but everyone kept saying no. Yeah, I think it's because we just didn't expect it to happen that way, frankly. And I wonder if the flyer ID might become a thing for the sub 250s in the future. But there'll be a lot of change, and they've got a lot more pressing subjects to cover at the CAA than necessarily bringing that in.
Okay, on that, what was your take with suddenly removing the minimum age just the other day? It's like, okay, you just brought in.
That was crazy.
Yeah, well, I was told that they wanted to do that but couldn't because of EASA, and they promised to do it once if and when EASA was out, and because of COVID and everything else like that, they didn't get time to do it before the thing launched on the 31st. That's what I was told. I have no idea. That is from a third of a third of a third source, so I've no idea on that. Airless Mean is asking any news on the BT situation. I have contacted them. We are in conversation, so there are emails going backwards and forwards, and once I have a little bit more information from them, we will be coming back to you either in a live stream or on a specific video.
I must be the only person, because I record everything and skip.
Yes.
What is the BT advert and how is it done?
Basically, the BT advert is a counter UAS advert, and it's basically saying BT, in partnership with other companies, are now going to be offering CUAS services. The issue with it is that it's playing out on YouTube, so it's playing out to non-specialist audiences, and it is scaremongering. It is basically shows a drone above your workforce and says you must act now to protect your workforce from UAS, and it's one of those videos that you would perhaps expect one of those companies to play at a board meeting, where they're trying to say to someone, this is the worst case scenario. This is the insurable issue that you're trying to protect yourself against. But it's actually playing out on my channel and on lots of other people's and lots of other drone channels.
That must be
out to the public. It's crazy.
Well, do whatever you're doing to try and counter that. So I have to admit to paying my £11 a month for YouTube Premium, so I don't actually get to see it on YouTube. So
more than worthwhile when
I came free with my Google on my home Macs, and I let it carry on. So that's why I've not seen it anyway. But good luck with whatever you do there, even if it's restricted.
Yeah, we are talking to them now and just trying to say, look, actually, what are you basing this on? And fortunately they're a big enough company that they are concerned about what the public thinks and what the audience is thinking when they're seeing this video. So actually their press office is coming back to us and they are talking to us about it, which is good.
I think the key point you've got to actually ask is what is their target audience for counter drone technology?
Yes,
so that is a very narrow, specific audience. And at the same time, what is the recreational hobbyist drone, and it's just like you're pissing off far more people than you
Yes.
are actually.
And in actual fact, the picture, it's a cartoon essentially advert, and the cartoon of the drone that's over the staff members that must be protected looks like something smaller than a Phantom. So they're not talking about, you know, a Predator drone or a I don't know, a matrice strapped with, you know, nefarious items or anything else, or the shotgun drone that you can now get from Kalashnikov. They weren't talking about that kind of thing. They were talking, it looks like a consumer drone. And obviously, as people like Ellismean, and thank you for sending that to me, Ellismean, and other viewers have contacted me because they're concerned about that message that's been put out, especially at the moment when we're trying to be positive about the hobby. So
I'm just looking at this advert now, actually. It's absolutely shocking.
it is. It
is absolutely shocking.
And I don't know even how they expect to get business from it, frankly.
They can be easily weaponized. What?
Yeah. And you must protect your workforce now and that type of thing. And it's just, you know, the language isn't correct.
What the hell?
And the audience is certainly very, very far off, frankly. So Ian, what have you got coming up on your channel next? Have you got any? Are you working on any? I know you must be taking a breath right now after digesting all of these new rules.
There'll be no more videos on these effing rules because I'm shitless.
That sounds like a challenge to the CAA to change something, actually.
Well, they probably will. It's Easter week, so yeah. Something's gonna but no, I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of going a bit stir crazy. I've done quite a bit of flying in the snow this week, but I think whether or not I put a little video out on how to fly in the cold, but I think most people know that. So really, to be honest, I'm just waiting for a bit of warmer weather. I prefer shooting videos out in the back garden with dogs and nature as opposed to the studio. I find the studio a bit too boring and sterile. But so yeah, I'm just kind of waiting for a bit of warm weather, a bit of spring. I'll start flying, something will go wrong, and then I'll make a video about it, and that's normally how.
And it will kick off from there, indeed. Yeah, I mean, I have to admit. Yeah, I have to admit that I was right at the point with my channel where we were starting to go out more, and we did a video on how not to get arrested, and my actor friend dressed up as a police officer and cuffed me and that type of thing, which is all good fun, but actually gets a nice message across as well. And it was just as the COVID restrictions came in, unfortunately, I was starting to get out and do more of that stuff. So I'm hoping later in this year we're gonna have some much more exciting out of studio stuff as well. But that is one of the reasons why I like your channel, is because you do fly drones. There is no doubt when you watch your channel, because you cannot go more than 1 or 2 videos without you being stood there flying a drone. And the one video that I remember that really, I was already a fan at that point, because the National Trust one, the Stonehenge video, really tied me into your channel. But one of the ones that I really enjoyed recently was when, I think was it the first Mini that got lost, and it basically showed how to find it on the app. And you were sort of hunting it down, and you found it literally about 3 centimeters from the water.
I've got a few. I was doing a low battery thing, and I was staring at the camera when it went down, and I was, could I find the bloody thing?
I remember that one. I did see that one as well.
Yeah. And then I tried to do that wind test a few months ago.
Yes.
And do you know, I mean, I wasn't going to put that video out, because talk about dog's breakfast of a video. I mean, everything that went wrong could, and so I put it up for a joke, for a laugh, really. I mean, when I was editing it, and it got so dark, and then the column mic unplugged, and I didn't know, because it's all shot in one continuous long. So I'm talking to the camera, and there's nothing, you know. So sometimes it's good to put things up when it obviously goes wrong. But as soon as the good weather goes, I'll be getting out, flying, and seeing what I can talk about. I've had a few people mention Mini 2. We've all done videos on the Mini 2, but ultimately there's still, you know, people still want a bit of advice and help on setting it up for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Very first drone.
Yes.
And you know, it's amazing what it can do. So I think I'll probably be focusing on that for a little bit.
Yeah, but it's things like your wind test and that type of thing with the Mini 2. It's not just, oh, your Mini 2 can fly at. It's like, here is the Mini 2 in 30 mile an hour wind, and this is what it's going to, and this is the problem. This is why you shouldn't do it. I mean, that's That's highly valuable to people who have that as a first drone, because then they see a physical characteristic that they can recognise, and that's going to give them an early warning system essentially. So no, that kind of content is more than
wherever
welcome.
I can fly the drone. I remember I did one opening sequence. I was doing a circular shot or whatever in orbit, and I was talking to the drone, and I had all these comments. My Mavic Mini doesn't record sound. How does yours? I can't just match that. But
the art of YouTube.
That's it. Yeah, you spend more time editing than you do flying. But
exactly.
That's it. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the good weather now, and hopefully lockdown will finally release us so we can go flying in more places. And
yes, exactly. Go for a few more longer journeys.
What do you think this year's bringing, Sean? Mini 3?
I think Mini 3 certainly, because in actual fact, Billy Kyle, one of the large DJI partner channels, he tweeted that he was told the light at the front was supposed to be an avoidance sensor, but it wasn't ready for the Mini 2. Hence, it's a bit lighter than actually the Mini 1.
249, yeah, 242.
So I do expect to see a Mini 3 coming out with avoidance, which I think is would actually be a nice little product change for it. The DJI Fpv drone was supposed to be the 20th of January, pushed back for several reasons, including they've got a DJI motion controller. Have you heard about that yet?
No, I saw something, but
it's just popped up on the FCC website, and I've spoken to someone that's had one in their hands, and it is going to be one of these controllers. Let me pull my tripod up that you hold and you can move with the drone basically, and it will to certain restrictions to be safe. It will move with you basically, and that's going to be an add-on extra for the FPV drone. But that had a delay, and that's now got a FCC release from the privacy point of view. I think it's the 8th of March. And that was the same date that other people have been telling me again. So I would expect early March after the Chinese New Year.
Cool.
Is fully out of the way. I'd expect that. But and apparently the drone that everybody talks about for the last 30 years, the Mavic 3, is going to be coming out after the summer, at the end of the summer, apparently. I've had that on relatively reliable information that's been right so many times before. I personally still think that they could take this glass and put a Mavic 3 label on it and they'd sell 3 million of them just because people are so hyped for that name. But we'll have to wait.
It is, I fell in love with the Air 2 because, I've been flying the 2 Pro for ages, but it is a big, heavy, noisy beast.
It is.
In comparison, it is funny, isn't it? I started off with the Phantom 3, you think of the big noisy.
Yes.
They were. But then, the Mini 2 pops out, but I still love the idea of the 20 megapixel jumbo 1-inch sensor. And it would be good to have an updated model that's just under 900 grams as opposed to being just over 900 grams.
Exactly. Yes.
That's another
size matters. Size matters. Size does matter. Sorry, it does. And
my big question, a lot of people are still asking, is when will the new numeric classifications be coming out? Because it's all right for people like us who buy a drone so we can show it on YouTube, and but if you were actually, this is your one big purchase, do you wait or do you end up with a legacy paperweight in 2 years' time?
That's right.
And I'm still staggered that the the numeric classifications are not appearing on new models.
I completely agree with you. And it's becoming more and more of a difficult answer to give, because people say, "Oh, the Air 2 is great. I'm going to buy it." And I'm like, "Oh, great, fantastic drone." But then they're like, "But what about the legacy thing?" And you think, actually, because that is an awful lot of money to outlay for a hobby, for something that isn't going to be flyable with your A2 CFC qualification. Before that qualification runs out, frankly.
I really hope they do start the numeric classifications very, very soon.
Yes.
I think a lot of people are holding off, and
I agree.
They should get that one sorted. I also still live in hope that we've got 2 ways of sorting out the legacy situation. Either the CAA see a bit of sense and just say, you know what, we could actually just extend the legacy drone rules indefinitely. If it's safe now, why would it not be safe in 2 years' time? So we have that. The other option we've got, of course, is that I've heard some people saying you can send your Air 2 in for the ADS-B little transponder thing to be fitted. Well, I'm kind of hoping that you'd be able to do the same. You could send it in and get it back with a numeric classification. I don't know whether or not that would be possible. It would just be awful to have.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Those solutions.
DJI did put out a blog post about the retroactive labeling, and they, because again they were obviously trying to head off commercial buyers, not buying, an awful lot of investing an awful lot of money in their businesses who were starting to hold off. And they're saying that certainly on the commercial side of things, they're expecting the labeling to be able to be retroactive for a fee. But then, of course, you go down is how much that fee would be for an Air 2 or something. Would it be viable, and et cetera, et cetera. But I'm whenever I bring this up to any company that has any kind of experience on that side of things, it seems to be thrown out. The police aren't going to accept it, the CAA aren't going to accept it, etc. And they're just it is the retroactive isn't going to work. But I do like the idea of extending legacy, because even if you extended it to 4 or 5 years, those drones that are still flying, they'll naturally come out. It's a bit like the diesel car thing, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Those cars are naturally going to those drones are naturally going to be replaced by newer models as people see these Mini 3, Mini 4, and the Mavic Air 7 or something. They're gonna jump in and buy that, frankly.
Chris, we spoke about FPV about 10 minutes ago. You missed it. Sorry, mate.
Yes. I will be going back and putting some chapters in for anyone that's joining us now, so that you can jump around and listen to a few of the different subject matters, including dog porn.
Dog porn. Teddy, he's this poor little dog. He's talking about you. So, poor little chap.
Face your accuser.
Yeah. Anyway, no, he needs a haircut. He's a bit of a mess.
Oh, so do I.
He's missing being out. It's whenever he hears the power button, the do, he suddenly starts growling. So he'll be out with me in the next few weeks. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I really do appreciate it. One of the things that again I saw Matt from Mr. MPW in the chat earlier, and one of the things I love about our community is that we all talk to each other, we all get on. In some YouTube niches, everyone's at their backs with knives, etc. But actually, it is a great community, and we can always, and I appreciate that as well as a hobbyist running a channel, because I can reach out to people and find out information and that type of thing as well. So again, thank you so much for coming along. Lots of love in the chat for you. So I hope you can see that. I think everyone would agree with me that Ian should start at least a monthly live stream himself, with a Q&A or something. I think that would be very popular.
Yeah, maybe I'll put that on my list of things to do. I still want to, as I say, I want to set up the scenic relaxation channel.
Absolutely.
All this footage that I've got taking up my drives. But anyway,
No, indeed.
It's been good fun. I thought this would take we'd be about half an hour tops, and somehow we've spoken.
Yes, that tends to be Geeksvana live streams. Actually, if they end under 2 hours, it's frankly a miracle. So thank you everyone for joining us in the chat. We're going to move over straight into the intro so we can all get on with our Thursday evenings. Have a great Friday. Be careful out there on the ice and snow, and enjoy your flying. Those of you that can, of course.
Take care.
talking, and I need more of a show right now. It's time that you made your mind.